like to introduce you to our guest at this time, and it is Donnie Kelly of the Detroit Tigers, formerly of the Point Park Pioneers. Donnie, thank you for coming in today.
No problem, Josh.
Let's talk about your time here. Go all the way back to your Point Park time, and you were just inducted into the Point Park Hall of Fame not too long ago. So let's start there. How awesome was that for you to be inducted in the Point Park Hall of Fame?
You know, it was great. It's something that you really don't think about a lot. I mean, especially now with still playing, but I'm sure once my career's done that you'll look back and, I mean, it was a great night. A lot of people showed up, and just the school in general is going places, and to go into that room and see what they've done with that room and the whole school in general it was great.
How nice is it to be able to come back to the alma mater? Now this will be your second time back, seeing the TV studio and everything, but just for all of your time and your hard work done there, and now to come back and see that the university is progressing forward.
Oh yeah, I mean, progressing I think is not even the right word. As far as athletics go, we had to travel to Butler to play, practice over in Bloomfield, and just the athletic facilities that they've got going now are tremendous. I mean, with the baseball team now moving up to Green Tree, and now they have the Green Tree Sports Complex where they can get inside and practice. I mean, not to mention all the other sports. I think they're getting a basketball court here pretty soon. So I mean, the school's really moving.
How big is that to say, thank you and put the emphasis on Dan Swager for all that hard work of being able to grab and really utilize on opportunity too, because Duquesne loses their baseball program. That was the Green Tree Field was their old field. Now Point Park gets a step in and take it.
Right. Yeah, I know Dan's done a great job. Dr. Hennigan, I mean, really has a school going in the right direction. So I mean, just to be able to step in there and get that field up there in Green Tree is huge for the Pioneer baseball team.
So you're in the off season now, a Detroit Tigers player, kind of being able to play almost any position out there on the field. And your manager is Jim Leland, another local guy. How cool is it to be able to play with Mr. Leland?
It's awesome. I mean, I grew up in Mount Lebanon, probably, a rock's throw from his house. And obviously I didn't know him real well back then, but getting to play for him, it's been a real treat. And he's as intense as a guy as you can get, and just a treat to play for.
How's he been able to progress yourself as a player?
How has
Leland been able to? Yes.
This year I really got into a good role. I knew how he was going to use me. As a utility guy, you never know what can happen in a game, and I really got into a good rhythm. He was very consistent with me, using me in defensive situations early in the year, and then I got more playing time as the season went on. So it was good just to get into a rhythm and know how he was going to use me as a utility guy.
And how difficult is that as a utility guy to not know what you're going to be doing on an everyday basis? I mean, you might wake up in the morning. Most people, all right, I'm going to go play left field today. But for you, am I going to play left field? Am I going to play first base? Where's it going to be?
Right. No, it's crazy. And the one time this year, we woke up in the morning and my wife said, I think you're gonna have a great game tonight. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm not even going to play tonight, right? So I show up to the field, not in the lineup. We go out for BP. Miguel Cabrera takes one swing and pulls his back in BP. Next thing you know, who's at first base? I'm in there, get a game-winning double. And, my wife called it early in the morning, but you just never know. You've always got to be ready to jump in at any situation during the game, before the game, whatever, and play anywhere on the field.
Now, an interesting question I have is, most players, first basemen have specific first baseman gloves, things like that. How many gloves do you have? Do you have an array of gloves, or do you just use one?
My teammates laugh at me because I've got them all in a certain section of the dugout that I put them down there just so I know in case Brandon Inge got hit by a pitch this year, and I've got to run down there and get my glove real quick, so I know where it's at.
Right.
But I've got 4 of them that I take down for the game, and I have 9 total that I'm getting ready to use and breaking in and stuff.
That's an unbelievable amount of gloves that you got there. Is there anything that you can't do? Is there any positions that you can't play? I mean, can you go out there and pitch?
No,
maybe?
I'd like to stay away from that. I thought maybe in New York this year we were getting blown out, I might get a shot, but I don't want that to happen.
That happens every once and then where, position players will get thrown at the mix, try to save some relievers. Have you ever been in a game where you've seen position players actually pitch for the team?
Yeah, that's the worst. As a hitter, when you're going up there facing a position player, it's like you should get a hit, and it's still not that easy. So the biggest thing for me, if I ever got the chance, was just try to throw strikes, which is obviously easier said than done.
Your career in the majors has kind of gone to one place to another, and now back into Detroit. You were drafted by the Tigers, and then you made your major league debut with the Pirates, the hometown. What was that like to be able to, in your hometown, make your debut?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I get chills thinking about it. I mean, I can remember back in 2007 being down in Houston. Got my first at bat was against Brad Lidge in front of 45,000 people with guys on first and second in the 9th inning. And you talk about, you can't even hear yourself think when you're up there. My knees were shaking, nervous, but it's just a feeling that you'll never forget, especially growing up a big Pirates fan.
What is the position in a game, especially as a hitter, that maybe you might fear most? Is it going up against that lights out closer, or is it going up against like a Cliff Lee, a lights out starter? Which one is more difficult?
It's funny. I'll tell you what. The toughest at bats that you're going to have are guys like Jamie Moyer, Freddie Garcia, guys that don't throw real hard, are getting older. They know how to pitch, but I can handle going up against an Edwin Jackson or a Verlander or somebody that's blowing smoke and beats you a little bit. But when you got a guy throwing 82, 84, and you go up there and you look foolish on a pitch, it's like you're walking back to the dugout. Man, what just happened? How did I miss that? And those are the guys that are tough to hit.
There's a story I want you to elaborate on. We did a story on the Hall of Fame banquet, and one of the things that you said at the podium was talking about hitting people's cars with wiffle balls down at the Mon Wharf. Could tell me a little bit about that and what practices were like back then when you couldn't go out to the field?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, we would practice in Bloomfield, and sometimes there were days that we just couldn't get out there. So we would go down to the Mon Wharf and hit wiffle balls once all the cars would leave. And sometimes, I mean, there would be balls in the water. Guys are trying to fish them out. I mean, it was different back then because we didn't have the facilities. We would have to take a shovel to practice to shovel off the snow. Our games were held in Butler, so we'd have to drive an hour for a home game. I mean, it's amazing what Point Park's done in such a short time. Getting the field in Green Tree, being able to go inside to practice, and the batting cage is still there, but it looks a lot nicer than it was when I was here.
How big of a jump is that from Point Park all the way up to, you didn't start out in Detroit, but in the minor league system there, most people, they go to D1 programs and then they go on to good facilities to even better facilities. But to us, for you, it was like nothing to something. And even the minors sometimes aren't even that great facilities.
I'll tell you, going from nothing to something is about it, because my first stop was Oneonta, New York, and it was a dump. But to me, it was the field of dreams. I mean, you show up, it's a grass infield, cut, dirt was dragged. Something that we weren't used to here at Point Park. Guys coming from Miami, Florida State, Mississippi State that I played with are scared to go out on this field, and here I am just enjoying every minute of it because it was a lot better than what we had here at Point Park. But it was just, and as you go up, obviously the fields get better and the playing surfaces get a lot better too.
And one last, how big of a grind was it for you in that minor league system to be able to come up into the majors? And they say the easiest thing is actually making it there, but staying there is a totally separate thing. But how difficult is that grind to be in there and some days never knowing what could happen?
Well, that's the thing, is going through the minor leagues, you watch movies like Bull Durham. It's true. You're on the buses that don't have AC. You're driving all night. You pull in at 7:30 in the morning, have to sleep and play that night. And that's the thing that it teaches you through the minor leagues, is how to prepare yourself every day, no matter what kind of situation you're in, and it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. In college you're playing maybe 50 games, 55. Now you're going to 140, 160 games. You've really got to be able to drag it out over a full season and maintain your strength and stay sharp.
Awesome. Thank you, Donnie.